And after that, we'll conduct a second round of a test and earn program with new rewards, just so we make sure that we test the final smart contracts that will go live. That means that we might be launching by the beginning of November. And we have also been having really interesting conversations with hedge funds that invest in the Cardano ecosystem. So we make sure that when we go out into mainnet, we have a huge boom of liquidity into the indexes.
Good morning, Ada Nation. Welcome to Dapp Central, your home for everything blockchain and crypto. I'm your host here, Fareed. As a part of today's video, we're diving into indexes, getting an update from the METERA protocol. I'll be joined by co-founder Daniel Sampson to highlight their upcoming TGE, their ISPO, and exactly how you can claim all of your tokens if you delegate it to either the METERA stake pool or one of the other 14 partner stake pools, including the Dapp Central stake pool. Without any further ado, let's bring up our guest, Daniel. Welcome up. How are you?
Hello, Farid. Doing great. How are you?
I'm good. Just got the early start to my morning. Coffee in hand. Couldn't ask for more, man. How are you doing?
Coffee too. I'm doing great.
Cheers.
Really
Cheers.
excited to have this interview.
Likewise. Now, you've been here on the channel before, so we'll keep the introductions, I think, relatively brief. I'll leave the links to all of our prior chats down below in order for the new viewers to catch up. But without any further ado, do you mind quickly giving the community an overview of what METERA is bringing to Cardano through the indexes or through the MTKs?
Yes. Well, like you mentioned, we're doing indexes for the Cardano ecosystem. This means that users will be able to diversify their ADA into different Cardano native tokens following a strategy set by a portfolio manager. Our intent for providing this type of instruments is to bring more liquidity into Cardano. These instruments across the board are a great tool for new investors that are trying to get exposure to a new ecosystem or to a sector in blockchain to diversify themselves and invest. So for the past few years, we have been developing a platform that offers this type of instruments. It works like a marketplace of different tokenized strategies. And we have been working with awesome partners like Cerberus, which have been giving us some portfolios and serving as index providers for the platform itself.
Perfect. For anybody who wants to find out more about METERA, the official website is available at at meteraprotocol.io. Links to that will be left down below as a part of today's video description. Now, the biggest topic here, I think, is the TGE or the token sale, which you just mentioned. You guys have partnered up, and that news actually just became official with Axo. They've had 2 successful token launches, and I think METERA's lined up to be that third. Now, we're going to save the best for last, so we'll come back to that. But before we do get to that, let's talk about the testnet and exactly some of the feedback that you guys have received from the community. If I'm not mistaken, the testnet was incentivized. That is now, I believe, come to a close. Not the testnet itself, but the incentivized portion. But do you mind breaking down some of the feedback, some of the changes, and what's really come out of it since the inception of it?
Yes. So we launched our testnet about 2 or 3 months ago. I can't recall exactly when we launched it. And we had a test and earn program where we incentivize people to really stress the platform and go through all of the different interactions that you can engage with within the platform. We had a really great turnout. We had like 2.6K wallets connected in the testnet. We have over 20,000 transactions processed. So we really got to stress the platform. We got a bunch of feedback regarding our UX and UI. And they have all been addressed, at least what we can do at this point. And this was an opportunity for us to realize how many transactions we could process once in mainnet. At the beginning, we transactions were taking a while to process, right? So we ended up implementing transaction chaining, which made transactions really fast to process. So stuff like that, really looking at bugs and how our systems were created behind the scenes to process as many transactions as possible, were addressed and thanks to this test and learn program. So yeah, you can see right there. I believe that might be an older statistic. So I believe we ended up closing it with 2.5K wallets with about 20,000 processed orders. People went crazy when the testament program was closing out, and yeah, people that finish the testament program will receive will be able to claim their tokens once our token is live, which people have been waiting for quite a while now, and we're really excited to finally get the token out there.
Yeah, again, we're going to get to that here in just a minute. But if we're talking about the testnet, I have to ask, what about the mainnet? So are you able to share anything with the community about when the expectation is for METERA to hit the mainnet?
Yes, for sure. So, uh, where we are right now at this stage is that we're finishing up the audit. To be honest, it has taken a little bit longer than what we wished for. That's because Chang got in the middle, the Chang hard fork, and it broke a lot of stuff. We needed to change some logic. Also, a new version of Aiken came out that we took the advantage to update to this new version of Aiken, but I do expect to have the audit sometime before the end of this month, which we're in September at the moment. And after that, we'll conduct a second round of a test and earn program with new rewards, just so we make sure that we test the final smart contracts that will go live into mainnet. Most likely, that will run for about a month, maybe a little bit less if testing goes really, really positive, which shouldn't be much different from what we experienced in the first round of testing. And that means that we might be launching by the beginning of November. We have been working a lot with partners that I've already mentioned to craft some interesting portfolio indexes that will go out into mainnet. And we have also been having really interesting conversations with hedge funds that invest in the Cardano ecosystem. So we make sure that when we go out into mainnet, we have a huge boom of liquidity into the indexes. So it's been really exciting. It's been a journey to get into mainnet for sure.
Yeah, and I think the timeline is lining up with what might be the beginning of the crypto bull run. So I think you guys will be well positioned here, right, for an influx of liquidity. And I think the biggest thing for me is, again, instead of trying to pick single winners in an ecosystem, hedging your bets, getting a nice spread across the network tends to give the best rewards. Now, with a platform like METERA, you'll be able to do just that, right? Get access to maybe the top memes, maybe the top DeFi protocols, maybe the top DEXs. And so I think that's really what I'm looking forward to when it comes to METERA. Now, you've mentioned some of your partners. I know you guys have partnered up with Cerberus, and you guys have actually put together some portfolios for the Cerberus community or by Cerberus. Do you mind maybe breaking down some of the other partners that are making this entire sort of platform come to life? Again, if I'm not mistaken, you guys are also partnered up with SundaySwap for the audit. You guys have partnered up with TX Pipe, most recently Axo. How does it feel to be working with some of the bigger players here in the ecosystem?
Oh, it has been great, and yeah, we have amazing partners, right? We have for governance, we have partnered for the longest time with Clarity, with Logan and Justin, which are such an amazing team. Um, about a year ago, we started developing with the Pipe Shops, which is the development arm for clients that comes from TX Pipe, the creators of Aiken and such amazing things as the meter. And that has been such an amazing experience. Also, close to my heart because they are from Argentina. So always working with people from Latin America in the Cardano space is amazing, and the amount of talent that they have over in Argentina, it's truly remarkable. Like you mentioned, we are doing two separate things with Axo, which is one of the biggest projects in Cardano. They have such an amazing team. Jarek, the CEO, is just such a bright person, and we're working with them for launching the token, right, with their launchpad. But we're also working with them to provide easy access into our empty case via their basket buy feature. So I believe having this type of partnerships is gonna be amazing for when we go into mainnet, because you can seamlessly go into the empty case with just ADA. Which other partners we have at the moment? Well, Cerberus, which we also have like a multi partnership on a couple of things. We use Cerberus risk ratings to vet the assets that go into our indexes. So your viewers probably know what Cerberus, but just to give a brief summary, they do on-chain analysis about Cardano assets. They are also moving into other chains, which I believe is amazing. And what we have integrated on our end is that assets included into our indexes need to have a minimum rating provided by servers. So that starts, if an asset hasn't been rated by servers, it cannot go into our index. And if an asset is rated D, a D or lower, it cannot go into our indexes. This is just like a base to provide at least decent quality assets that people can choose into their indexes, and to prevent things like mock assets or people fishing to be mean swap and adding it into an index. And because we have integrations with Axo that directly buy the tokens for them to provide liquidity into the wrong token. So I believe this suite of partnerships, which we have a couple in the works as well, which will go live closer into mainnet, really has given us a great perspective and has get us closer into such bright minds in the Cardano ecosystem, which only makes us better as a product for our users.
Yeah, I think the biggest niche you mentioned there was security with the Cerberus partnership. Now, that doesn't take away from any of the other partners, but I think that has the biggest impact because, again, without trust, especially during a bull market where people are launching tokens, we've got platforms like Snec.fund, Pump Friend, getting access to creating a token is basically something that anybody can do now, right? It's just crazy, really, how quickly the space has evolved. Take a look at, 2 years ago, creating a token was sort of like a dev only thing. Now anybody, right, in a
Yes.
matter of 15 seconds can create a token. Go ahead.
Yes,
Go ahead.
and that also makes things a little bit crazier, right? I mean, we saw recently like a trend, a really nasty trend of people launching via Snec.fun. So certainly we wouldn't want that to be offered via our platform to newcomers or season or veterans in the Cardano ecosystem. So yeah, I believe security with, well, our platform is a lot more secure, and we're able to vet the assets properly for the indexes in the platform. Speaking about security, you mentioned it, but I forgot to mention it. We have done our audit with Sunday Labs, which is amazing. Pi from Sunday is one of the most talented developers in the ecosystem, and he has such great insights. I mean, he created the first DEX in Cardano, right, which is amazing. That everyone else followed, and he was a pioneer on that end. So we are pretty confident on the success of our product. And one big part of that is the people that we have around and the partnerships that we've been able to craft along the years.
And I think this is a really good segue. It's not just the partnerships with the official protocols. I think it's also the partnerships with the partner SPOs who really are the backbone of the community. So let's jump into the METERA ISPO. So you guys partnered up with, I believe it was nearly 14 different stake pools, with the Dapp Central stake pool included. Of course, again, big thank you for including us here. That's made a huge difference, not just for me, but I'm sure for all of the other stake pool operators as well. But do you mind giving us an update on where things stand? If I'm not mistaken, the ISPO has just concluded. We have the TGE coming up with the Axo sales platform. For anybody who maybe just wants to understand, what's available, how to claim, can you walk us through some of those details?
Yes. So the ISPO, you're right, ended at Epoch 505, so some epochs ago. When we first started the ISPO, we held a governance vote via Clarity with NFT holders of different METERA collections that we had previously launched, and the community selected these 15 SSPOs. Right, we have such an amazing list of SSPOs, starting with Dapp Central, which we have been great friends for a long while. I have been in the channel a couple of times. We have Happy Staking Pool, which belongs to a community of people that do things for the climate, and SSPOs that donate the proceeds to different initiatives all around the world. We have K-Top, which is a Korean pool, which with a huge community, and well, I could go on and on. A lot of those SSPOs helped us actually creating the snapshots for our ISPO, because it was a really huge ISPO, right? We had over 21K unique wallets participating across all of the pools. On the main pool, we had at some point 34 million ADA staked. So we really leveraged the SSPOs that we were working on to make sure that we did the right snapshots and blockchain analysis. So the ISPO was a complete success from our end, and it really gave us the funding to get into this stage and now being able to work towards mainnet. So one of the biggest questions the community has, and we are just releasing the final details about how this will work, is how do I claim my ISPO tokens? And this is also true on how you claim your testnet rewards if you participated in the Test and Earn program, and if you bought NFTs last year. So we are making a deep integration with DripDrop's API. This means that users will be able to claim their METERA tokens directly from our platform. So you can either provide your stake key or you connect your wallet, and we'll display a summary of how many METERA you've earned across the 3 different categories: ISPO, NFTs, and Test and Earn, and you'll be able to claim the tokens directly, either by signing a transaction and paying some ADA, or via sending like 3 ADA into the wallet provided, and the tokens will be sent back to your wallet. One important thing to mention, just to keep details fresh, is that those 3 allocations specifically have vesting schedules, right? They will not become available right as the TGE goes live or finishes. So both ISPO and the NFTs, which yield METERA, will have a 6-month vesting schedule, which you'll be able to claim each epoch. So that's like 36, 37 epochs vesting. And the testnet will have the testnet rewards will have a 3-month vesting schedule. Also, most recently, we have been working internally to figure out to tally up all of the wallets that have earned less than 1,000 METERA through the ISPO or another initiative, and we'll make those rewards available a little bit sooner without following the full vesting schedule, just so it makes sense to claim the METERA tokens earlier.
So quite a bit of information to break down there. I'd love to be able to share some of that with the community. Again, for everybody who maybe wants to find out more, check out the description down below. But can you maybe highlight for ISPO participants, because you've mentioned the vesting now, are they able to claim once after all the vesting has completed, or is the expectation for them to sort of claim each epoch by jumping onto the platform? And then also, again, I know that you guys are still sort of refining some of the details. Will the claim portal expire, right? So like, for example, if maybe after, a couple of months after vesting finishes, people haven't claimed, will those rewards basically be forfeited? I know, for example, platforms like Axo have done that. And that's just to make sure, obviously, that, anybody who maybe just isn't aware, or that maybe has lost keys, that tokens aren't going towards wallets that aren't necessarily active or engaging right with the claim process. So is there anything that you can share about how often people need to claim, and then whether or not these tokens will expire after X amount of time?
Yes, for sure. So it really comes up to, well, it's a decision that needs to be made by the user, and the tokens will accrue over time, right? So each epoch, you will unlock a new part of the tokens, right? And you can either claim each epoch if you want to do something with that metera, or you can wait a couple of months or even the full period to claim everything just with a single transaction. Great question about tokens expiring. Like you said, we're still finalizing the details, and this is something that we intend to discuss with the community. But our first approach is to make the tokens available for a full year. So gives extra 6 months for people that didn't catch up to claim their tokens, and after that they forfeit their tokens, and those tokens will most likely be burned at that point. So that's I believe that's basically most of the details regarding the ISPO, NFTs, and claiming. We will be doing a snapshot on the 27th, so this upcoming Friday, for NFT holders. We did an initiative in partnership with Wi-Fi at the beginning of the ISPO for people to stake their NFTs and participate in the ISPO, and if they did both, they would earn some extra rewards, right? So we will be doing a snapshot of holders for the NFTs, of people that haven't claimed their NFTs from the Wi-Fi staking vaults, and also people that have their NFTs listed on JPEG Store. One crucial thing to mention here, and we're trying to get this across to all of our users and people that are getting to know us, is that after this snapshot of the NFTs happens on the 27th, if people buy an NFT on secondary markets, they wouldn't be earning METERA, right? So we just want to get this point across, that the last date to buy an NFT on the secondary market to earn METERA is on the 27th, but we do plan to use those NFTs later on in our platform as we expand our batching capabilities for other users to also act as batchers within the platform and process transactions.
Thank you for all the details, especially that very last one there at the end. I think we've come to that time. There's been a big announcement surrounding the METERA team partnering up with the AXO platform, or using the AXO platform for your upcoming token generation sale. Now, I mentioned this earlier. We've seen two extremely successful sales. So you guys are the third on what appears to be a successful token launch platform, where I think that space is really getting a lot more competitive. And so Axo's obviously built their own reputation as a really solid DEX, using all of the EUTXO capabilities, etc. And so to see that particular type of talent building out a launch pad, getting two successful sales, now you guys being the third one, number one, how does it feel? And the number two, what are some of the details that you can share? Again, I know that a lot of this is currently in motion, pretty fluid, but what can the community do to get ready ahead of time?
Yeah, it's really exciting to use a platform like Axo. I mean, the first order book DX in the ecosystem, they have been doing great. Launchpads have been a trend in the Cardano ecosystem, right? There's amazing projects across the board for launchpads. We ended up deciding on Axo because it gives us the opportunity to create our own protocol, own liquidity. So like you can see in the screen right here, we're doing the sale on October 11th, starting at 3 p.m. UTC. Unlike other mechanisms of launchpads in the ecosystem, you receive METERA tokens directly as soon as you buy them. So you don't need to wait until the sale is over or to see if it's successful or not, and you won't be receiving LP tokens, which is like the norm in Cardano launchpads. So you receive direct METERA tokens, and we will pair it per the ADA raised with METERA tokens and create liquidity in other DXs. Some alpha to be dropped here that will be announced shortly is that we will be creating most of the liquidity in Sunday Swap in partnership with Steel Swap, which is another DEX aggregator in the ecosystem, to utilize Sunday Swap's fee pools. The pools that they have that have a fee manager. So this is something that we were thinking for a while, and we saw last year Optim do with Splash in their token sale, which is have higher fees at the beginning, so people don't initially start dumping as we create liquidity over time and pair it with some METERA tokens. So that's the mechanism that we have decided. Like you mentioned, all of the details will be made public when the right time comes. We have a couple of interesting spaces planned with AXO. We have a couple of different exciting announcements leading up to the sale. So everything will be covered before October 11th. As what can the user do? One of the most direct actions the user can do is that the pre-trading of the token, right? You can start provide liquidity into the token event 3 hours before the official date. So that's one thing, and also will help us spread the word about METERA, test out the testnet. Our token is the governance token for METERA. So if you ever want to create an index in METERA, you need to become a part of the DAO and go through a DAO process to suggest an index, and if the community accepts the index, then you can become a portfolio manager. And the METERA token will also play a crucial part as a utility token within the platform, since all of the indexes in the platform will hold a small amount of METERA. This mechanism has been thought to incentivize buys on the open market for people that want to mint the index token. So engage with us and get ready for the METERA launch.
I'm definitely ready. And as you mentioned, right, just get the word out there. And hopefully this is able to do just that. Now, interesting bit that you just mentioned there at the very end, right? The ability for people to create tokens, or not tokens, but to create portfolios. I know you guys have partnered with Cerberus, not obviously just for the risk ratings, but they've actually launched 2 of their own portfolios using METERA. And if I'm not mistaken, they're doing extremely well. So they've got a short-term portfolio and then a long-term portfolio. Maybe just thinking out loud here. And of course, again, I know there's things that you're dealing with. What types of other bigger players in the ecosystem could we see portfolios from? And then what types of portfolios? You mentioned the METERA token acting as a DAO token. Will there be restrictions on what types of portfolios can be created as we get ready to close out here?
So the amount of portfolios that can be created really depends on what assets are available in the Cardano ecosystem, right? We have seen a huge trend with real world assets coming into Cardano, right? So those are definitely assets really interesting to be included into strategies that also invest in native tokens in the Cardano ecosystem. We are thinking about creating as a DAO also portfolios for deeping, I don't know, DeFi indexes. Like there's a lot of things that you can take and bunch up and create some themed portfolios. I think we have definitely been speaking with some projects in the ecosystem that are bringing real world assets. From what we understand from hedge funds in the ecosystem and family offices that invest in Cardano, they have an appetite for those type of assets to be included in their strategies. Also, there's a whole other world like synthetics that like what Indigo does that can be included into our indexes. So I believe at the end of the day, it will really be up to what the market wants in Cardano and what portfolio managers that are using the platform are able to deliver, right? And to craft a strategy. So definitely exciting things to come. We have seen protocols such as ours being super successful, mainly in EVMs. For everyone that is doing research on indexes or also invest in other sites, that is not just Cardano and native tokens. There is a great project called token sets or another project called enzymes in EVMs that do index tokens. At one point, an index by token sets called the DeFi Pulse Index at the peak of the bull run in 2021, I believe, if I'm right. No, yeah, 22 by the end of 2021 had over 800 million USD invested in the index itself. So these are, I mean, ETFs in the traditional markets are one of the biggest, um, is one of the biggest instruments that hold the most amount of money, right? So it's time to start replicating that in blockchain in Cardano with a more decentralized approach that doesn't give as much power to the portfolio manager, but that gives the direct access to the assets to the user.
And I've got to say it again, the fact that the bull market here is back on with people being more risk of, well, being willing to take more risk, I think lines up very well. But then you just mentioned an interesting word there, hedge funds. You know, there's been conversations about the fact that we need more liquidity, we need more venture capitalists, or we need more enterprise-based businesses. At the end of the day, yes, you know, single users like yourself and I think move the needle, but we're really, really waiting on enterprise adoption. And even yesterday, I shot a video talking about how Iagon has now created a cloud service for enterprise businesses. Like that's how we onboard the masses, through companies that have the manpower or that have the bodies below them. So I'm really excited to see how much adoption a platform like METERA gets. And as we get ready to close out, just thinking long term, people that are traditionally attracted to ETFs, indexes, they're traders or investors that don't want a lot of the risk, right? And so one thing that I can appreciate about this is the fact that you're going to be tapping on a brand new crowd. I think a lot of people have been looking for degens, people that are looking for quick flips. And I personally don't see a platform like that. You know, again, obviously everybody has their own opinion, but I see a platform where I'm investing in indexes as a longer term play, you know, where I'm trying to do something passively and I'm not really hands-on trading day in, day out, right? So I think those are things that are playing to METERA's advantage right now. Obviously, again, the bull market, the VCs or the hedge fund, the liquidity, and then sort of the long-term mindset for your ideal user on a platform like METERA. So Daniel, as we get ready to close out here, any last thoughts that you want to mention or highlight for the community?
Well, with that same, like following the line that you were speaking about right there, is that ETFs or this type of instruments in traditional markets typically serves as benchmarks, right, for the rest of the market. You can see any ETF that is created following the S&P 500, right? Those typically mark a benchmark of what the baseline of an investment is, and what returns should hedge funds offer to other clients, or even bonds of reserves should offer, right? So I believe we have an opportunity here to start creating benchmarks for the Cardano ecosystem that can be compared into how an asset is performing in the Cardano ecosystem. We spoke briefly about Cerberus indexes, but one of their indexes is 80% up against the benchmark, which is ADA itself. So these new indexes can serve as a new benchmark for the ecosystem, like the baseline investment that people will try to overperform, and that people can look at and look if their investments are underperforming. So definitely something that is needed to bring this type of institutional money. And I believe the aggregate of institutional money like hedge funds, or even smaller like family offices plus users like you and me will definitely make ourselves stand out and be able to set those benchmarks in the ecosystem. Besides that, no, I really appreciate the interview. It's always a pleasure to have the opportunity to speak with the amount of outreach you have within the ecosystem itself. And yeah, we are as excited as everyone in the community is to finally get the token out and finally go into mainnet.
I am just as excited as you are. Again, thank you for the opportunity to be a participant in the ISPO, right? Again, that's made a huge impact here, not just to me, but a lot of other contributors here in the ecosystem. Ladies and gentlemen, that'll bring us to the end here for today's video. Sitting down, chatting with Daniel Sampson, co-founder of METERA, again, bringing tokenized portfolios to Cardano. If you found any portion of today's video to be informational, or if you just learned anything along the way, I would appreciate you if you could smash that thumbs up. It's one of the easiest ways to support me as a content creator. Not only does it help to educate the existing Cardano community, it also helps to get this content out to other people that may not understand or may not realize what's being built here within the ecosystem. Appreciate content just like this and you want more of it, consider subscribing to the channel. And last but not least, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, make sure to leave those down below. I'll be monitoring those and making sure to pass those on to Daniel. Now that said, and as always, we'll catch you all in the next one. Cheers, everybody. Bye-bye.